And one of the fucking topics that keeps coming up in modern day world is paranoia. You know, and it's like, well, paranoia doesn't actually exist. It's just a label that the scientific community places on someone that experiences reactions to things that they don't understand. So in their psychological little circle, if they can't explain why you're acting that way, you're paranoid. There's more to it than that. No, there isn't. Because it's like, take this for example. I'm watching this video. It's called The Most Perverted King in History, The Mystery of Ferdinand. Now, I've been watching this video and, you know, this guy had a fucking medical condition that made his manhood continue to grow even after adolescence. So it's like, after he's fucking reached fucking puberty and his sexual maturity, fucking all that malarkey, you know, by that fucking point, you know, it stops growing. Your body doesn't stop fucking growing. You still keep growing until you fucking usually reach your fucking 20s, but everything else stops growing because you've reached puberty. You're ready to have children. You know? But this guy had a medical condition that saw his manhood continue to grow even after puberty. And yeah, the psychological fucking trauma it had on his fucking wives. I'll watch the video. But this video goes on to say about how Ferdinand became so paranoid about, well, everything because of his condition and people not understanding it and the way they were treating him and the way his wives were reacting to him. He became increasingly paranoid. But it's like, knowing from my own personal experience of interacting with the psychological world out there, you know, and the questions that I've asked them on their, you know, profession and the reasons and bloody all, you know, I'm a very curious fucker sometimes. So, it's... So, yeah. And I had one psychologist fucking when I was explaining my issues at that point in fucking time of what I was going through and why and all that malarkey. It's just like, well, if it was justified, you weren't paranoid. And it's like, well, what is justified? What is justified and what's not? You know, her comment on science's definition of what paranoia is, and it's like, it got me, it's gotten me multiple fucking times watching videos like this on YouTube, thinking, well, what is it that you actually think of as unjustified paranoia? Because it's like, I'm listening to this fucking video now that it's like, you know, Ferdinand becoming increasingly paranoid fucking as time went on because of the reaction the world had to his, you know, condition. And it's like, well, everything that you're describing to me is, you know, falls into the same fucking category as what my psychologist back in the fucking day said to me, that, you know, if it's justified, you're not paranoid. But it's like, I'm sat there thinking, it's like, well, it's there saying how Ferdinand thought that his enemies were sending fucking spies and bloody whatnot to take notes on his condition and blah-de-blah-de-blah. And it's like, well, even if this stuff wasn't happening, it still doesn't justify calling it unjustified paranoia, because it's like, there's many factors to take in here. The first one being, that's the world they lived in. That is the type of things that, you know, governments that don't trust another government do to each other. Send spies to document things, try and find fucking things to one-up each other. So it's not unjustified for him to believe that. It may seem unjustified because of the fact that it wasn't happening at the time. But the possibility and chances of it actually happening do exist. Because that is the nature of politics. Now, what stopped it from happening at that point in time differs. Whether it was because we're frightened of what he'll do if he catches us. That could be a possibility for them not indulging in it at that time, but that doesn't mean that they wouldn't do it. So is it fair to say that it was unjustified paranoia? No, it's not fair to say that it's unjustified, because it is something that world would do. It's just they didn't choose to do it at that time. Whether it was out of fear of what would happen if they got caught. Whether it was, the typical, superiority complex fucking arrogance of, well, we don't need to fucking know because it doesn't affect us. Either way, those would be the fucking types of reasons that would prevent it happening at that time, but it doesn't fucking mean that it's unjustified paranoia, because it is something that they would do if they thought that it was, well, necessary, something they could get away with, something that they'd fucking, get a fucking one-up on each other. It's not unjustified if it's possible. But that's the thing. Say, with this into account, is paranoia actually real? No. Not in the fucking sense that science sees it as a medical condition. It's not a medical condition, because there is actually no such thing as paranoia. All it is a reaction to something, and it's something that's easily preventable just by changing the fucking way that we interact with each other. No, that's why I fucking keep saying how psychology is more important than people think. Changing our fucking way of thinking, changing our fucking way we view the world, instead of putting labels like, oh, you got a medical condition called paranoia. It's not fucking a medical fucking condition. It is in your eyes because you can't comprehend how to prevent it from happening. You've tried drugs, it doesn't work, so you've labelled it as a condition. But like with everything, you see it as a separate entity and not as part of psychology itself, as a result of your lack of respect for psychology. You're actually encouraging it to happen because, it's all part of a mental breakdown. It's the same as depression. You label that as a condition, a separate mental health issue. It's not a separate mental health issue. Same as paranoia. They're not separate mental health issues. They're part of a nervous breakdown. They're symptoms, not conditions. And symptoms can be prevented by eliminating the cause. So I'm going to link this video into the description of this one, so give it a watch for yourself. I gotta be fair, this guy that's uploaded these history lessons, he does some pretty good videos. So yeah, I highly recommend you give him a watch, because I'm giving him a watch right now. And well, watch him, see what you think.